Hi, I'm Caley Alyssa, and you have found yourself at a yoga class for lower back pain. So if you have any sort of low back sensitivity, this class is perfect for you. Sometimes that could be first thing in the morning, the low back can be a little bit more sensitive, or you could just have a chronic lower back pain. This class is going to help to kind of open up that low back space. It's going to be very gentle. And again, I want to emphasize, if something doesn't feel right for you, then don't do it. You know your body better than I do, so shift, adjust, however you need to. I have a couple blocks and a strap next to me here. If you have these props at home, grab them, and if you don't, you can make do with whatever you have. We'll make it work. We'll start by lying down on your back. So be really gentle, hug your knees into your chest as you roll slowly down onto your low back. Once you get there, we'll start to draw circles with the knees. So you can move them in the same direction, or you can move your knees in opposite directions. But just take the next 30 seconds or so to feel your low back getting a massage as you move your knees. And then once you've gone in both directions with your circles, just rock side to side on the lower back. So from this position, you'll want to grab hold of one of the blocks if you have one. If you don't have a block, use a book or just anything that's, a few inches wide that you can put between your knees. A pillow could even work for this. So I'm gonna lift my shins up to a 90-degree angle and gently let the knees fall over to the left. Now, as my knees fall to the left, I wanna make sure that they stay stacked, one on top of the other. So the block is gonna help to ensure that. I separate my feet and flex the feet the same distance apart that the block is. So what this is doing is it's ensuring that I'm twisting from my mid-thoracic spine here, as opposed to destabilizing my sacroiliac joints and twisting from my hip. So when I stack the hips on top of each other, the low back is much more supported. Now, just be very gentle. Take your arms out to your sides. Your gaze can be straight up to the ceiling, or it could be over your opposite elbow, your opposite shoulder, if that feels good to you. The higher the knees are, the deeper the release in the low back you'll get. The lower the knees are, the less intense the twist will feel. So you can adjust and modify as needed. And we'll be on each side just for about 30 seconds to a minute. So use your exhales to soften all the muscles around your spine and to relax into your lower back. You don't want to force anything, especially if you have a sensitivity back there. And when you're ready, you'll gently bring the knees back into the chest. You can reach down and help your knees to come to center if need be. Center out for a second so you can feel the low back equal on your yoga mat. Maybe even wiggle your hips side to side a little bit. And once you've done that, then we'll come into the second side. So again, making sure that your knees stack directly on top of each other, using the block to support that. Separate your feet the same distance apart as the block and flex them. And then create some length in your spine and gently start to let your torso twist open to the ceiling. So really squeeze into the block in order to support the low back, making sure that the twist is happening from your torso. And then again, on the exhale, you want to see if you can relax all the muscles around the spine so that you're not clenching and tightening. You can really soften into the twist. So we'll take the next 30 seconds or so to breathe here. See if you can draw your breath out to be a little longer. And then again, we'll slowly come back to center. So using your hands to help you pull the legs in, move yourself back onto the yoga mat, and take the block and just set it to the side for now. Once you do that, hug your knees back into your chest, and we'll start to rock forward and backward along the spine. So we're gonna do this maybe 5 or 6 times, just kind of massaging your back body as you go. So take your time, feel into all the little sensitive spaces. And on your last one, we'll come up, crossing your feet and finding your way to a tabletop position on your hands and your knees. So once you get into tabletop, make sure that your shoulders and your wrists are stacked, your knees and your hips are stacked. We're gonna move into a few rounds of cat-cow here. So on the inhale, keeping your low belly engaged to support your lower back, see if you could slide your sternum, your chest forward and pull your shoulders back. So you're not just letting your belly stick out and your butt stick out, you're really keeping that low belly active. And as you exhale, push into your palms, round your upper back as much as possible, stretching between your shoulder blades. Again, inhale, keeping the belly engaged, slide the chest forward, shoulders back. Exhale, push into your palms, round your upper back. We'll do 3 more like this. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. And last time, inhale. And exhale. Come back to a neutral spine. So from this position, I'm going to ask that you grab your blocks one more time. Have the blocks at the top of your mat. So what the blocks help to do is elevate the floor and give us a little bit more space in the arms. So you'll step your right foot forward. Slide your left knee back a few inches. And the blocks can be at whatever level you need them to be, the low, the middle, or the high. And you're going to gently begin to straighten your front right leg. So your lower back is connected to your hamstrings in the back of the leg. So if you are experiencing sensation in the low back that's unpleasant, it could be connected to a tightness in the back of the leg. So we want to make sure that we address that in this class as well. So make sure that the front leg is straight, taking any bend out of the knee. And then make sure that you're not rounding your back in this position as well. So if you need to elevate the blocks a little higher in order to create some length and extension in your spine and in the sides of your waist, then go ahead and do that. Once you get into this position, see if you could stick your booty out a little bit, imagining the very bottom edge of your sit bone lifting up to the ceiling, and then slide your chest forward. Now again, you want to keep your low belly drawing in, so as the low belly engages, the low back will be supported. And we'll just hang here and breathe. So once you're in this position, if you feel like you have a little bit more room to lower down, you could always adjust your blocks, come down to the next level. And again, we'll try to lengthen the breath here, slowing the inhale and slowing the exhale. Try breathing in through your nose and breathing out from the mouth. We'll do 2 more like that. And 1 more. All right, slowly releasing this side. Rebend into your front knee. Put the blocks on the lowest level so that they're stable. And just start to switch legs. So you can step that right leg back, maybe wiggle your hips side to side a few times, release any tension in the hips. And then when you're ready to switch sides, we'll step the left foot forward. So once the left foot is forward, scoot your right knee back a few more inches so that you're more on top of the thigh than on top of the knee. And then we'll slowly begin to straighten that front left leg out, adjusting the blocks however you need. Remember, try to take the rounding out of your spine. Draw your tailbone down and back, slide your chest forward, and straighten the front leg. And once you're in this position, return to your breath. Breathe in through your nose, and breathe out from the mouth. So we'll continue that breathing for about 30 seconds, breathing into the back of the left leg. So it's really important to remember that while you're practicing yoga, if you do have any sort of injury or sensitivity, that it's connected to the entire body. It's not just one spot in particular. So even though if you have low back sensitivity or low back pain, it's not specifically located in that area, it's related to the entire body. It could be an imbalance anywhere else. So you really want to make sure that you're doing both sides of the body, left leg, right arm, left arm. And then that you're focusing on the entire back body if that's where the issue is, as well as the front body. Typically a weakness in the back can insinuate a weakness in the front. So the core is not strong enough to support the back body or vice versa. So it's really sort of an experiment that you have to run with your own body. Trying to see what works, see what doesn't work. Okay, we'll start to rebend into the front knee and just gently set those blocks to the side. And then from here, tuck your back toes under. We'll step up to the top of the mat, keeping your knees bent. I'm going to interlace my fingers and take the hands to the base of the skull, where the neck and the skull meet. And then I'll start to squeeze the elbows together in front of my face, imagining the elbows could touch. So what this does is it's creating some traction here along the spine. So just let your head hang, maybe even wiggle a little. Make sure you're releasing tension in the torso throughout the spine. And take a few breaths in this position. And go ahead and slowly bring your hands down. And with your hands down, step your left foot to the back of the mat. That left leg will be straight, the toes tucked. Now, spin all 10 of your toes to point to the right side of your yoga mat. So you're actually on the outer edge of your back foot. And then walk your front foot down a few inches. Stamp down into that front foot to lift your hips up as high as you can. So now we're getting into the IT band and the outer hip. This is also connected to the low back space. So you just want to breathe into that outer hip for a couple breaths. Maybe the top arm reaches up. You might even reach it out over your ear, or bring the hand behind your head, leaning the head back. Good. And then slowly take the top hand, bring it back down. Turn your toes forward, step forward. So we'll do that on the second side, bringing the right foot all the way to the back of the yoga mat, keeping the right leg straight. And then turning onto the outer edge of the back foot. So all 10 toes now point to the left. Right, I'm gonna walk the left foot down a few inches, stamp down into the left foot to lift the hips up high. And again, I wanna feel the outer hip and the IT band here getting a stretch. Top arm can reach up, over, or come back behind the head, leaning the head back, and opening up the chest. This feels so good, especially if you have tighter hips. Breathe in, and breathe out. One more time, breathe in, and breathe out. Take that top hand, bring it all the way back down, step forward to the top of your mat. Separate your feet a little bit wider than your hips. Grab your block, put it behind you, and then from here, we'll be coming down into a squatting position, yogi squat. So I'm gonna sit my butt all the way down onto the block here. Okay, the heels are on the ground, the toes are on the ground, and my spine is really long and straight. I can put my elbows between my knees and just gently push the knees open and then squeeze the knees back in against the elbows. So this is a really excellent position for your low back. All right, it also helps in getting into those hips, especially if they're tight. I want you to see if you could push down into your feet, lift your pelvic floor muscles in and up, and lift your hips an inch off the block. Breathe here. Good, set your hips back down into the block and rest. We'll do that again, push down into your feet, lift your pelvic floor muscles in and up, and then see if you can lift your hips up an inch off the block. Take and breathe. And set the hips back down. Now keeping your hips on the block, round into your spine. Walk your hands forward and let your head hang heavy. You can walk your fingertips a little further forward. Push your sit bones down into the block. And then slowly come on back up. We'll take the block out from underneath us and return onto our backs. So we'll finish with reclined cow face pose. This is actually a hip stretch, but it's connected to your IT band in your outer hip. And again, it helps to neutralize the low back. So this is a good one to do after back bending or if you have any low back sensitivity and pain. So you come down onto your back, lift your legs up to the ceiling. We'll start by crossing the right knee and thigh over the left knee and thigh. You bend your knees so they have two little floppy cow ears over here. Flex into your feet. So if you're a little tighter, you might just reach and grab hold of the shin bones. So you're lifting your feet up off your butt and you're pulling the feet in towards your shoulders. If you have a little bit more room, you might be able to grab the outer edges of the feet, making sure you don't collapse your ankles if you're doing that. Keeping the feet flexed, ankles supported, pull the feet down and into the shoulders. So what this pose does is it opens the low back space up on the mat beneath you, and it keeps your back and your hips in a neutral position. So this is a really good stretch to do for that low back sensitivity. Keep breathing here. So you can stay in the stretch as long as you like. If it's really feeling good and you want to stay here a little longer, feel free to do that, or just pause the video and continue whenever you're ready. We're going to slowly switch sides. So I'm going to release the feet, unwind the legs, and then rewind. So now my left knee and thighs over my right. I bend the knees and have my little cow ears over here. And then again, I can either reach and grab the shins, or I can grab the outer edges of the feet, making sure not to collapse the ankle. Okay, so once I've got that, I lift the feet up off the butt and pull my feet towards my shoulders. When you're in this position, see if you could use your breath. Really find the exhales to help you release any sort of gripping or clenching or tightness you might be feeling in the muscles. And then from here, go ahead and unwind your legs. We'll come into happy baby pose. So you bend your knees and grab the outer edges of the feet, and the knees kind of work their way down towards the shoulders and the armpits here. Now in happy baby pose, see if you can find that natural curve in your low back. So you push your tailbone down into the mat, and you lift your low back up away from the mat. Tailbone down, low back is lifted. And as you're doing that, imagine sucking your belly button towards the spine. So hold here, be stationary for a couple breaths. And then if you'd like, you can slowly start to draw the low back down into the mat, lift your tailbone up a little bit, and begin to rock gently, side to side. So it's always really good to finish with a neutral posture. So in other words, a posture that doesn't have a right side and a left side when you're having that low back sensitivity. So go ahead and release happy baby. Take your feet out as wide as your yoga mat and let your knees knock together. So we knock the knees as opposed to opening them in Baddha Konasana, because Baddha Konasana closes off the low back. Knock knees opens the low back space up. So this is a really excellent position to do for that low back sensitivity. You can take your arms out to your side, reach them up overhead, grab opposite elbow. And again, you can hang out in this position as long as you like. We have finished our practice for today. So I'm gonna leave you here, rest, take as long as you need, and come back to this class as many times as you need to. If you're ever feeling sensitivity in the low back, you just take it really slow and practice. Good luck.